What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you would consider hitting the subscribe button on your way out. And if you're a continuing subscriber, thank you so much for being here again. It really does mean a lot to me. All of the support, it means the world to me. And today I wanted to bring something new to my channel. So I'm going to be discussing more than movies. And I will always tie it back to movies, but I wanted to discuss something different. And so if you stay with me right after this intro, we're going to go ahead and get into everything. Okay, so today, like I said, we're going to be discussing more than movies. So I am not just movies, and none of you are that are watching this either. I love movies. I love tying everything back to movies, but I collect a lot more than just movies, and I do a lot more than just watch movies. So I wanted to discuss some different things. I wanted to talk about what movies have meant to me and how I can tie these things back to movies. But today we're going to be talking about learning to be yourself. And I can't wait to dive into this in just a minute here, because I think it's such an important topic, and it was something that I grew up with, always trying to battle, trying to figure out who I was, and I was never myself in high school or anything like that. So I can't wait to dive into this, but before I go ahead and do that, I wanted to talk about Nick of Movie AV Impulse. He inspired me by doing his life lesson series. I'm always going to give credit where credit's due. I might sound like a broken record because I talk a lot about my friends in the community and things like that, but they mean a lot to me. And without him doing that life lesson series, I don't know if I would have had the inspiration to start something like this. So Nick, I know you're watching this, and I appreciate you starting that, and I hope a lot more people are watching that, because it's a great series that you're doing. But today, like I said, we're going to be talking about a new series that I'm creating, and we're going to talk about being yourself. So let's go ahead and get into it. What I'm going to try to do is talk about 3 movies, and when I'm talking about them, I'll talk about life and different things I've learned, and just maybe giving some advice or things that I've learned through the course of my life through them. So let's talk about the first movie here, which is going to be Love, Simon. This is a recommendation. So all 3 movies I'm going to pull are movies about learning to be yourself, or along that same line of coming to terms with who you are and being comfortable in your own skin and things like that. So I want to talk about Love, Simon. And there's a scene in particular when Jennifer Garner is talking to her son. And I don't want to spoil any of these movies for you, but there's a scene in particular where she talks to her son about he gets to be more himself than he ever has been before.
You get to be more you than you have been in a very long time.
There's a lot of great lessons to be taken from Love, Simon, and I don't want to overstep my boundaries on that movie, obviously, but there's a lot to appreciate about the movie Love, Simon. It means a lot to me. It was really just an incredible movie when I first saw it. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I would really enjoy it, but his character, he obviously, a secret comes out about him and who he is, and it kind of changes everything for him. But I guess what I've taken away from Love, Simon was that, like the mother said to him, Jennifer Garner's character, you get to be more alive. You get to be more you than you've ever been before. And I think so many times we could struggle with that, trying to figure out who we are, and whether it's keeping a secret or acting like somebody you're not to avoid people finding out who you are. And I absolutely love that about Love, Simon. Love his character in it. Absolutely love the movie, like I said. But, you know, when you're trying to act yourself, sometimes you're young. You don't have to be young. You can be an adult trying to figure out who you are as well, and making mistakes or hanging out with the wrong crowd. And that was me a ton. But that's what I'll talk about for Love, Simon. The next movie I wanted to talk about, which I actually just rewatched, is going to be Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. Really fun watch. These are all movies that I would recommend. That movie plays huge into nostalgia. If you didn't see Romy and Michelle's high school reunion when you were younger, maybe you wouldn't enjoy it now for the first time. It depends. But I would still recommend it. It's a fun watch. It's not a perfect movie, but it also talks about being yourself.
I don't care if you like us, because we don't like you. You're a bad person with an ugly heart, and we don't give a flying fuck what you think.
And that dance is so iconic, so classic at the end of that movie. It's so much fun. Great song that plays over it. And that movie's all about being yourself and standing out and things like that. And I think they do a great job of that in that movie. They kind of get picked on. There's always that bully in high school. A lot of these movies are high school related. A lot of movies about being yourself seem to relate to high school. But this one in particular takes place 10 years after their high school experiences. So they still deal with it. It's still people, cruel people, being the same person from high school. And they're lying. They come to the reunion trying to impress people and lying about who they are. And that never works out. And we get to see that as the movie plays on. I don't want to go into too much spoilers, but we get to see them be exactly who they are. And that dance is so iconic. It's so important because that's exactly it. And it's perfect. And love that dance scene. But it's such a great movie about kind of figuring out who you are and not trying to conform or try to fit in. So that's another one I wanted to definitely talk about there. But the next one I'm going to talk about is the one I saved for last, because this movie, it meant so much to me as a kid. I grew up probably teenager when my dad introduced me to this movie. Back when we were teenagers, there was only VHS really, or like when I was a preteen. And so my dad wanted to show me and my two sisters this movie, and he could never find it. It was always on VHS. Now it's only on DVD. And finally, he showed it to us for the first time. And now it's so much easier to watch movies, and you could find them anywhere really if you want to. And, you could get the DVD as well, which I hope this gets a Blu-ray. And I know I'm teasing it, but this movie, it's one of my dad's favorite movies of all time. Tony from Basement Blues is a big fan of this movie. Fish the Film Collector is also a big fan of this movie. I'm curious if anybody knows what I'm about to say. But it's a perfect movie that talks about being yourself and hanging out with the wrong crowd and doing whatever it would take to fit in. And I'm going to talk so much about this one if I can here, but let's go ahead and talk about Can't Buy Me Love here. I don't want to spoil it. If you haven't seen the movie, I would highly recommend this one. It's a romantic comedy drama, I would say. I've seen it multiple times, more than multiple times. I love this movie. You got Patrick Dempsey, and I believe her name is Amanda Peterson. It's really a good cast. But the movie, it's super important, at least to me and to my dad, obviously, and to many others. But essentially the story is, and this isn't really a spoiler, but the story is he pays the popular girl in the school $1,000, I believe, to act like she's dating him for a month. And obviously that changes him, right? Gains popularity. He gives up his old friends because he becomes somebody different. Right now he's one of the cool kids, so he's fitting in, and so he definitely becomes somebody he's not. And that in particular, it's so good. Everything about this movie. There's a scene in the lunchroom, in the cafeteria outside, that is incredible. I absolutely love it. The baseball bat, slamming it down. I mean, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it. But that scene is remarkable, and it just gives me goosebumps so much.
He's just trying to make friends. Being himself. Cools, nerds, your side, my side. Man, it's all bullshit.
It's so good. If you like romantic movies, you'll love Can't Buy Me Love. But it's such a good lesson about being yourself and how you try to fit in and be somebody else, and that doesn't always work. And I wanted to talk about that and how when I was in high school, I always tried to be somebody I wasn't. Tried to fit in, didn't work out. I was trying to figure out who I was. And then I started working at this place when I was like 19 to 21 years old. And I was not a like a pothead. I never smoked weed actually a day in my life. But I was working with guys that were smoking weed on the job and were huge potheads. And they, like, before they get to a job, some of the guys were doing lines of cocaine and things like that. And for a year and a half, I was like, no, I'm never going to get caught up in that. I'm good. But I didn't feel like I fit in there. I didn't feel like I was a good fit. And eventually, I finally actually started smoking. And it was only for a few months, and it just wasn't who I was, and I hated it. And nothing against people who smoke weed. That's not what I'm doing here. But I was trying to be somebody I wasn't. I was trying to fit in and be somebody that I wasn't. And it didn't work out. And I kept working there. But that's an example of trying to be somebody you're not, to fit in and do things that you normally wouldn't, just to be a part of a crowd. And that's exactly what I was doing. And it didn't fit. It didn't work. Eventually, I stopped working there, obviously. But I have found a home here in YouTube community. Am I perfect? Heck no. I make mistakes, but I'm always going to act myself. That's what I pride myself on doing. I'm going to be straight up, and I'm going to talk about, I could go from talking about raunchy comedies to talking about life, to talking about depression, loneliness, to talking about movies. It could be anything, right? I'm a range of personalities and characters, I guess, if you want to say. But I'm always going to be myself, and that's exactly who I am. And I feel like I found a home here. I feel like I'm part of a community. And it feels so good to feel like you fit in. And you don't have to try so hard to fit in or be somebody you're not. I get to be myself and I get to fit in here, and it's great. And I know some of the things I do on my channel are maybe at times questionable, or some of the things I talk about or do, or the antics or gags that I do. It's all about trying to have fun, and you're never going to please everybody, but I'm trying to have fun with it. But I'm also being myself. That is exactly who I am. But me here talking about trying to fit in and being yourself, that's also who I am. And we'll talk about so many more things every week as I go through this series, talking about being yourself and just essentially more than movies, who I am. But like I did here, I'll tie it back to movies. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to kind of obviously say thank you. And maybe I sound like a broken record, and that's okay. But it means a lot to me to feel welcome, to feel a part of a community, where I don't have to try so hard. And these movies in particular, and there's many other movies out there, but I wanted to highlight 3 movies, and I wanted to do that every week that I do this series, that talk about fitting in and being yourself and being comfortable with who you are and not trying to be a different person to please somebody or to impress a group, And as soon, trust me, when I started acting myself, I lost friends. When I became somebody different, I lost good friends and things like that. So, and you don't have to just be in high school to experience that. You can be an adult trying to impress people or be somebody you're not. You could be in your 30s, 40s, or 50s doing that. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is just always act yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. That's the best thing you can do. At the end of the day, when somebody says, who are you or whatever, just be yourself. Don't ever try to act like you're not somebody just to impress somebody else. Always be yourself. Be who you are. If you're wild and crazy, then be that person. Romy and Michelle's high school reunion, that dance at the end, that's me. I'm the first one on a dance floor at weddings usually and the last one off the dance floor. And I don't have good dance moves. I'm not a good dancer, but I like to have fun, and that's exactly who I am. just a good time. And so always be yourself. Don't be afraid to be that person. Maybe the things you do aren't so great, or maybe the things you do aren't going to please everybody. That's okay. I don't expect everybody to like me. I know I have haters, and that's okay. I don't expect everybody to like me. I don't try to please anybody. I'm just being myself. And if that works for you, then I'm so glad. Subscribe and have a chat with me on Instagram or in the comment section. I'd love to. But I just wanted to get on here, start this new series I have, talk about being yourself. It was really raw. I'm really not going to edit much of it, if any at all. And I just wanted to go in here and just talk about that. So I appreciate everybody who is watching. What I could say, a little takeaway, is just be yourself. Never change who you are. Always, always, always remember to be yourself. And if that doesn't work, for some people, that's okay. It's not going to work for everybody. Who you are isn't going to work for everybody. But be the best version of yourself that you can and live with that. And it's always going to work better when you get a chance to be yourself. So I know I said that 100 times. I do apologize. But thanks for taking the time to watch this. I really hope you enjoy the video and the new series I got coming up. But we're going to be talking a lot about different topics, from family to addiction to different things. So stay with me, stay tuned, and I hope you really enjoy the series moving forward. And I'd love to hear from you in the comment section if you ever struggled with trying to be yourself, or if you ever want to talk about anything personal, DM me on Instagram. Anything that's said in a DM between me and somebody else stays there. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes myself, but I'd love to hear from you. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch and listen. And be sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already done so and you would like to. And hit the bell notification if you want to be notified for all future videos. Thank you so much, and I'll see everyone next time.